Now, please note that incomplete, inadequate paper means others cannot understand published work. So it must be complete, otherwise readers will be unable to understand your research work. Otherwise one would say that it's a wastage of time and money. One would say that it's wastage of time, wastage of money, and barrier in the development of science. So for the advancement of science, the research paper, the research communication must be complete in such a way that when other individuals listen, they understand it. When they read it, they understand it. Now I am speaking, if you understand my few words, then it will be called as effective communicative style. It will be not wastage of time and not wastage of money, and there will be no barrier in the development of science. So the development of science is based upon complete research, complete conversation. For this purpose, one must have command over language, grammar, spelling, semantics, semiotics, major characteristics of communication, major characteristics requirement of command over language. The techniques are: read your main draft, read your main research papers several times before submitting to a journal or before presenting your speech. Read it many times, you will find out certain errors. If there are errors, mistakes, remove it. So ready for this instruction, read many times the same published paper, the same published work. Remember, develop creativity, new ideas, imagination. Develop scientific vocabulary where it is necessary, not jargon, not difficult words. Develop scientific vocabulary. So main purpose of writing paper again, effective communication again, that one must have command over communicative skill. Main objective is sharing of recent knowledge, command over grammar. Certain times I repeat. The purpose of repetition is to make clear my point. Now remember that we can classify research papers, research articles into several categories. Types of paper or types of article. There are two types of papers, two types of research articles. Listen very clearly. Empirical articles. One type of research paper, technically called as empirical articles. Empirical means experimental. Empirical articles. Now, empirical articles are based upon original research papers. Those contents or materials which are based upon original research work, they are called as empirical work, empirical article. Again, definition of empirical article is that the data has been collected through under controlled and experimental conditions. One has conducted that. Now, I repeat. Why repeat? To retain in your memory. Empirical articles based upon experiments under control and condition, original research papers, usually divided into 4 main sections. How many types? How many sections? Category of empirical article usually divided into 4 main sections. Number 1, introduction. That is literature review. Introduction, that is literature review. Method, that is method and procedure. That is method and procedure. Results, you obtain some figures, statistical data, you present under a separate table, it is called as results. Then you discuss the dependent independent variables, you discuss your hypothesis in the light of collected data. It will be called as discussion. Your hypothesis may be verified, it may be rejected, it may be accepted. So each point will be clearly, logically, will be discussed, presented. So remember, again I repeat, why? Just to retain it. Empirical articles means experimental articles. Experimental articles means that original data, you collected original data under experimental and controlled conditions. Usually divided into 4 sections. Introduction, that is literature review, method, results and discussion. Now we come to another related point. Review articles. What is review article? Major characteristics of review articles. Critical evaluation of the published materials. Critical examination, your judgment of published material. For example, in psychology, you are discussing A.H. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, first of all, you discuss that Maslow in the beginning mentioned 5 hierarchies, then he mentioned 6, added 1 more, or you give your own opinion. That you see that it's very difficult to give your opinion, but if you don't give your opinion, it will be not considered as a review article. So critical evaluation of published materials, evaluate, examine of what? Critical examine current status of the research. Remember, it is also important issue that critically examines current status of the research work. For example, in psychology, Zeigarnik effect. You must give the current status of the Zeigarnik effect. For example, H. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, or the earliest experiment by Professor Thorndike, trial and error, for example, Kohler, for example. So you must give what is the current, present, state. Now I will define what is review article. Review article consists of following 4 steps. Critical evaluation of the following step. Problem defined. Examine the problem. To what extent the problem is related to the title. To what extent the problem has some significance. And followed by summary of earlier researches. Again, we can give you Zeigarnik effect in psychology. Is there any research work, earlier research work conducted in the area of Zeigarnik effect, or for example incidental versus intentional work? So summary, remember I am referring the word summary of earlier research works. We are talking about review article. How review article? That identify relations, identify the present status. Is there any gap in the research? Is there any consistency? Is there any dissonance in literature? If there is, then explain it. Remember, it is all based upon an imagination, upon your earlier review of literature. I repeat it again, summary of earlier research works. Identify relations, gaps, inconsistencies in literature. Now, suggestion solution. We will mainly focus on empirical paper